Alright, so we're doing the problem valid palindrome. So they give you a string and you pretty much need to return a boolean if it is a palindrome, false if it's not a palindrome. But the idea is to actually only take into consideration the alphanumeric. So like in this example, you're pretty much only looking at all the letters. There's no numbers in this one, so you would ignore the spaces, you would ignore the commas, you would ignore the colon, and you would also ignore the case. So you'd act like this A is lowercase and this P is lowercase. So the idea with the solution here is, let's say this one, so this one we know is not a palindrome, this one we know is a palindrome. But the idea is to have two pointers, one at the left and one at the right. And you pretty much are saying, okay, first we're going to check, are these the same value? If they are, we'll just increment them both. Or actually, that's not true. We'll move them both in the direction they should be going, but this one's incremented, this one's decremented. And we'll say, okay, is it the same value? Yep, they're both A's. Okay, let's move them down. Okay, are they both the same value? Yep, both C's. Let's move them down or move them closer to each other. Now, are they the same value? No. Okay, let's check, is the left one non-alphanumeric? Is it anything other than a letter or a number? No. Okay. Is this one anything other than a letter or number? Yes, it's a space. So we'll actually decrement this one by itself. And now we'll say, are these the same? And the answer is no, they're not the same. They're both alphanumerics, they're both letters, but they're not the same. So what we do in that case is, in this case, we actually return false. So at this point we know these are not, this is not a palindrome, because although they are both letters, they're not the same letter, which means it's not a palindrome. So the idea is essentially you're taking this string and you're removing the spaces, and if there's a period here, you remove that too, and whatever. So you're pretty much working with this string. So RR matches A, matches CC, matches E and A don't match, therefore not a palindrome. That's the idea, but we're not. This is a constant space solution, so we're not actually creating a new string without the spaces and without the symbols and whatever. So that's how that works. And over here, same idea. You say RR equal, and this is pretty easy because there's no symbols to it. There's no non-alphanumerics to worry about. So A match, C match, and E, because it's in the middle. Right and left, both pointers, we pointed to this at the same time, so it'll pretty much be comparing the same exact character, which of course equals, E equals E. So the solution in the code looks like this. So we'll have our left pointer, we'll have our right pointer, and the right pointer needs to be at the end. So we have dot length minus 1. And we'll go as long as left is less than or equal to right, because at a certain point, in the case of this race car one, left will be here, right will be here, then increment, decrement, okay, increment, decrement, and then eventually you get here, right, and they're equal. So left is now equal to right. It's fine, okay, E equals E, great, we're going to continue on. Left incremented, right decremented. So this is right, this is left. They've now passed each other, therefore left is no longer less than or equal to right. So we break out of the loop, which pretty much means we have checked all the characters. So in this loop, the first thing we'll do is check if the characters are the same. Oops, not a while. So what we want to do, and because the string might have uppercase, like for example, it could be written like this, where this part is uppercase, this part's lowercase. In this case, we want R to still be equal to R. So when we're comparing them, we need to pretty much shrink this to a lowercase r and compare that to this r over here. We could also make them both uppercase, it really doesn't matter. I chose to go lowercase though. So we'll grab the character at the left pointer and we'll check if this equals the character at the right pointer. Oops, caret. There we go. And if it is, then we'll increment left, decrement right. However, if this is not the case, then we have to do some other check. We need to check if the left character is a non-alphanumeric. So if not character is letter or digit, and again we're doing this for the left character, then we'll just increment left by itself. However, if now we gotta check the right character, right? And same idea, except we decrement right instead of incrementing it. And now we'll have an else here, and this else is important because this is pretty much the conditional that checks if the two characters that we're looking at, the left character, right character, if they're both valid, digits or letters, however they're not the same one. That means at that point we know it's not a palindrome, so we'll just return false. And at the end, if this loop runs through with no issue, we'll return true, because that means we've gone through each character pretty much that was being compared matched right here, and then we get to a point where left passes right, so we know we're done. We looked at all the characters. And this should be O of n, because we're using 2 pointers, but we're going through the whole string each time. So time O of n space, I believe it's a constant because we're not using any data structures. We just have our left pointer, our right pointer, and that's it. So yeah.